One of the core wounds, core beliefs of the fearful avoidant attachment style is I am a bad person. And it could be that you're not even really aware of it. It could be that you just have this feeling that you're a bad person, that you always make mistakes, you always do things wrong, you never seem to get it right, and that you hurt others. And it so much contributes to the whole push and pull dynamic that the fearful avoidant attachment style pretty much always has. So the come here and go away, the pulling in and pushing away all of the time, because you let people come close and then all of a sudden you're really afraid that they will find something out, namely that you are a bad person or that something is fundamentally wrong with you. So you didn't just wake up one day and decide, oh, I'm just gonna believe I'm a bad person now. You are not a bad person, just to be very clear. This is something that has developed in your childhood, and you concluded this more than that you decided it. So there are so many ways that this can come to be, that you can start believing this. And it can be a single thing that happens. You hurt another child without knowing what you did, and a whole drama ensues, and all of a sudden you think, wait, I did this, so I must be a bad person. But most of the time, it's more of a systemic thing. So something that happens more often that makes you believe more and more that you actually are a bad kid, which then translate obviously into believing that you are a bad person. So we are just going to dive into that a little bit, because the more you understand this, the more you can see, wait, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe I really wasn't a bad kid. And that will help you so much in healing this whole attachment style. So the first one is your parents used guilt as a parenting technique. And this is actually just so very common, because a lot of parents believe that this is the way to raise children, that children are born without empathy and without being able to feel what others, to feel the consequences of what they did. While in reality, children are very, very well capable of noticing the consequences of what they did, and absolutely of having empathy. And what children also do, what is very normal, is that they sometimes hit other children or bite other children or hurt other children. And that's not because they're bad. It's because they are trying to communicate something and they haven't found the way to do that. And that's why the parent comes in. So now I believe that the parent is really there to guide a child and not to punish. Children need guidance, not punishment. All children really truly are trying their best. They have to, because they're dependent on their parents for survival. So they are not gonna just be bad just to be bad. They are gonna do things that they are trying to their best to do whatever is working, and sometimes that just isn't working because their brain is just not developed yet. So for small children, the parts of your brain that regulate your impulses, that control your impulses, are just not developed at all. I mean, that doesn't get developed fully until you're 21, so that takes a while. And so small children, they just feel something coming up. For instance, another child takes away their toy, and then all of a sudden they feel this something come up, and it could be anger, it could be frustration. And then before they know it, they lash out. And it's so interesting to me that a lot of parents of fearful avoidance have the fearful avoidant attachment style themselves, and they have a really hard time regulating themselves, the parents, and can actually get physical. And then they expect their children to not do that with other children. I mean, if you give that example, it's very logical that you as a child think that that's the way to handle conflict, you know? So especially if you had that example, it's logical that you resort to that. But even without that, even with the most loving, patient, understanding parents in the world, every single child hits or bites or shoves another child at some point. And when your parents then go into that, trying to make you feel guilty, they will say things like, look at what you did, and what do you think? No, I don't know. This is in English. I was raised in Dutch. Sometimes it's hard to translate these things. I don't know what the typical things are that people say, because these are the things that are not usually portrayed in movies. So your parents probably said things that made you feel guilty. Even just asking the question why you did that can be very overwhelming for a child that just kind of acted on impulse. And when you ask that, why did you do that? Why did you do that? That child can start thinking, oh, I don't know. Well, I must be bad because it just kind of came out of nowhere, and apparently this is really bad because now my parent is really angry with me and another kid is crying. And so that's where definitely that feeling can come from. So the guilt parenting, making you feel bad about yourself so that you will correct your behavior, is logical when you think from a certain point of view, but it is definitely not helping the child. Definitely not. A child just needs help communicating what they want to communicate. They need help regulating their emotions. So if anything, in that moment, you needed a parent that was very calm and understanding and said, oh, I see you're frustrated, or I see you're angry, or I see you're trying to communicate something. Let's just calm down together and see how we can do that, or how we can communicate that. And if you've actually hurt somebody, you can say, oh, so and so is hurt. Let's see if we can help. And then later on, talk to the kid about, what happened in that moment, and you were angry or you were frustrated, and just from an understanding point of view. The interesting thing about guilt, and I might make another video on this in the future, is that parents try to use guilt, making their children feel guilty, as a way to create empathy in children. While actually what happens when you use guilt as a parenting technique, that breaks connection, and so it breaks empathy. Because empathy is being able to be fully present with another person's pain and to hold space and not make it personal and just do whatever needs to be done in that moment to create a safe space for that hurt to process. And sometimes that means you did something wrong and you have to acknowledge that and actually say you're sorry. But when you have a guilt complex, which happens when when guilt has been used so often that you kind of constantly feel guilty about everything and you feel like everything is your fault and you are responsible for everything. When you have that, it is really, really, really hard to be present without making it about you. So what you then get is that you either retreat and hide when somebody else is hurting, or it can be that you are trying to fix it. That person just needs to feel good because otherwise I'm a bad person. And so it breaks connection and it breaks empathy because you can't really tune in to what that person or what the situation is needing in this moment. So that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I truly believe that most parents, if not all, they really are trying their best, and most parents have good intentions. Maybe not all, but most parents have good intentions. They just want you to be empathetic so that you will have friendships and close relationships. And the thing they are doing to try to achieve that is doing the exact opposite, and is breaking connection and is breaking empathy. So it wasn't you. It wasn't your fault. If your parents used guilt as a parenting technique, it's super logical that you feel like you are a bad person because they actually tried to make you feel bad about something you did to correct your behavior. So it's a very logical step to go from having to feel bad about things to actually feeling like you're a bad person. So that was the first one. The second one is that it might be that your parents made you responsible for their emotions. So it could be that you've heard, well, now you've made your mother cry, or why are you making me angry? And this is just, it's such a trap in several ways. If you have been brought up with this idea that you are responsible for other people, it creates codependency, for instance, or it can create codependency where you feel responsible for other people's emotions. So all the time you walk on eggshells and you are trying to adjust to whatever you think somebody wants or needs just to not upset others. Well, in reality, your parents were the fully grown adults that had all the developmental capabilities of regulating their own emotions. They probably didn't learn that when they were younger. So this is not a blame thing, like, oh, your parents did everything wrong. This is just your parents were the ones that should have been able to regulate, and they didn't learn that either. So that's sad. I mean, that's just generational trauma that gets passed down. But children do not have that capacity to regulate. They do not have the developmental capacity to regulate, apart from whether they've learned that or not, whether they had the guidance or not. So you can understand probably that when a parent keeps saying, well, now you've made your father angry, or just don't do that because then daddy will get angry, or that will make your mom cry, that will make you feel like, oh, well, I'm the cause of all these emotions. And so I must be a bad person because I make other people have really bad emotions because my dad is now mad at me because mom is crying. And that's my fault, so I must be a bad person. Well, in reality, they were triggered and they were feeling emotions, and that's normal. That's human, and there's healing possible if that's what somebody's ready for. But it is not your responsibility. It is not your responsibility, and it is not your fault, no matter what you did, because you were a child. And I think a lot of parents of fearful avoidance don't understand child development, and I think that's a really big part of the problem, while parents with good intentions can create a fearful avoidant attachment style because they just expect too much and they put too much responsibility on a child that then in turn will make themselves feel bad because they are causing all this hurt, they are causing all this crying, this sadness, or this anger. But it wasn't you. It wasn't you. So if your parents used to say this, it's, again, very logical that you would conclude that you are a bad person because you caused this. And that's not true. It's just that your parents weren't able to recognize triggers and to heal and regulate their emotions. And then the third one. You were not taught that it's normal for children to hit and to not be able to regulate. So this kind of ties into what I just said, that a lot of parents of fearful avoidance just don't know child development, and they expect way too much from children at a much too young age. What I remember is, for instance, which it kind of seems so innocent, is that my dad always wanted me to remember important things. Like I had to remember to take things to school. And years later, like in my healing journey, I learned that children are not capable of remembering things completely on their own, at least until they are 12. And my dad was really stressing this when I was 7 or 8. And he would get really mad at me when I would forget things. And I understand where it came from, because he just wanted me to succeed in society. And then it's important to remember appointments and to remember to bring things and to be organized. But the thing is that he expected it from me without really helping me or guiding me, and also not knowing what was developmentally appropriate to expect from me. So he expected way too much at a way too young age, and that's not necessarily his fault. He didn't do it wrong. It's just, I think there's so much more known now about children's development. And if you don't know that, it's really hard to know when you can expect what from children. But that can make you feel, I know it made me feel like a really bad person, that I would keep forgetting things. And apparently I was supposed to be able to remember it because my dad expected it from me. And oh, how everything would be different if he would have known that he couldn't give me that responsibility until I was 12. And up till then, he could have guided me or helped me find a way or a system to remember these things. And just to be clear, I'm totally not bashing my dad here, and he really did the best he could. I absolutely know that for sure. But it's just interesting to me that knowing a child's development and what is developmentally appropriate can help so much in being understanding and just remembering, oh wait, they're not capable of doing that yet. And that's hard, because I think we always kind of think children are capable of more than they actually are in some areas, and then underestimate them in other areas. But I have to remind myself too, with my daughter, who is 2 now, she's just 2, that sometimes I have to remind myself she's not doing this on purpose. She's just not developmentally ready yet to be able to, whatever it is, regulate herself or not hit me, for instance. You can make that personal really quickly and feel like, oh, she's hitting me because she hates me or because she's trying to test me. But 2-year-olds can't regulate that yet. So it's very important to know that at every age, whether it's forgetting something before the age of 12, whether it's hitting when they're 2 or 3, it really helps to be understanding and not take it out on the child and not feel like personally hurt, because I think a lot of lashing out also comes from that, from parents of fearful avoidance that just feel like you are testing them or you are making it difficult for them, while all the while you were just not developmentally ready to be able to do that. So, gosh, I thought this was going to be a short video, but no. So all of these things and this belief of being a bad person, this causes you to retreat, to hide, to not show yourself, to not trust yourself, to doubt everything that you do. Because when you are a bad person, everything that comes up naturally must be bad. And that comes from, you being a child and not really knowing what you did wrong, but everybody being angry at you. And yeah, you can still have that feeling when you're an adult. And so it feels safer to just hide and retreat and not really show yourself and not trust yourself. So with this belief, you are afraid to hurt others. And this is what is so interesting, that the belief that you are a bad person can sometimes actually be there because you are trying to protect others from being hurt by you. So you believe that you are bad in a way that if you would be yourself, other people would get hurt. Actually, a lot of fearful avoidance believe this. And that just shows, holding on to that belief to protect others just shows how empathetic and kind and caring you actually are. Isn't that interesting? You actually are kind and caring because you want to protect others from yourself. But that causes so much stress and so much of hiding yourself. And you don't have to do that. And I don't want you to do that, because you truly are a gift to this world, and we are so lucky and happy to have you. And so releasing this belief that you are a bad person will make it so much easier to heal the whole fearful avoidant attachment style, because you won't allow yourself to be healed if you believe that you will hurt others. So this is actually what we are paying attention to quite a lot in the online program. If you are interested in that, we are launching so soon. I can't say a date yet because I don't know for sure yet. But see the link in the description below, or see this video right here for the latest updates. Maybe as you watch this video, the program has already launched, and I cannot wait for you to go through it and to release all this really heavy feeling baggage, all these really heavy feeling beliefs, because it is time to just live your life and to really fully be you, and to know that when you are old and wise and gray and look back onto your life, that you have lived a life that's true to you. And when you hide and when you retreat and when you believe you are a bad person and when you doubt everything you do and when you don't trust yourself, that's really hard to do. And I want you to lead a life that you love, that is right for you. I want you to allow love in and let people come close and close and closer, because you know that you are a good person. And the closer they see that, the more they will know that. Because that is who you are. You are a good person, and that is what you deserve. I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one.